as these things tend to work. Let's give it a second here before we jump in, and in case anyone is going to pop in, might as well let them see the beginning. And you can put YouTube on your other screen if you want. All right.
Oh, so I can like watch us on YouTube while we're doing this?
Yeah, you can have it over on the side, and that way you can see that chat. You can see how many people are live. You can see how many people are watching in the top left. Only on YouTube, you can't see LinkedIn because it's just like that. Okay. All right. Well, it looks like we got, I think maybe it's just me, but we'll have people starting to join us live here any second now. Welcome, viewers, and if both on YouTube and LinkedIn. If you're having any trouble on LinkedIn watching, pop over to YouTube because the experience is a little better over there. But welcome to JD Knows Things. Today we have Joe Moss, the founder of AdvisorTechBook. This is the first time I think I've had anyone on the show who I've not met before. So this will be fun. We're going to get to know each other in front of all of you.
Nice.
And I don't know what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about some fun stuff, though. I'm pretty sure, at least based on our various LinkedIn interactions that we've had over the course of our time last little bit. So, Joe, you want to introduce yourself, talk a little bit about who you are, and then we'll go from there.
I'm glad you know things. I think it's one thing. One thing I've enjoyed about your LinkedIn and your brand is it's almost like a crystal ball. I think I saw a picture of you holding a crystal ball. Like I can see the future.
Oh, it's right here. Ooh, that's my crystal ball.
That's awesome. I need one of those.
I used to use this as a prop for when I was a financial advisor and working with clients. Yeah, they would call me and say like, "Hey, what do you think the market's going to do?" And of course, I just grabbed my crystal ball. I said, "I don't know. Let's find out. Hold on." Ooh, and then I'd hold it up and say, "Okay, what do you see?" And they say, "I just see your face upside down." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, me too. I guess it doesn't work." And they just go, "Okay, I get it." And then it worked. And then when I started consulting, I'm like, actually, in consulting, I actually do kind of have a crystal ball. I can predict the future for my clients, right? I can do these projections and I can tell them when they need to hire people and everything. So now I call my my financial projection model my crystal ball. And then I have this one. This is my grandmother's crystal ball, if you can believe it.
We can't predict the markets, but when you're running a business, the best way to predict what's going to happen in the future is to take what's happened over the past couple of years and just extrapolate it forward.
Absolutely.
So if you've been losing clients for the past 3 years, you're probably going to keep losing clients unless something changes.
Yep, pretty much. Okay, so sorry we got sidetracked, but now you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Joe Moss, founder of AdvisorTechBook. I write on Substack. I have a podcast. I'm a fractional COO for an RIA, and I've been working in the space 7 years. Worked as a CSA, a paraplanner, a virtual CSA, an ops manager of a CRM consulting firm, COO. So I've kind of worked every level of the RA operations side of things. I'm also super into technology and organic growth.
Fun stuff. Do you have, the first question is going to be, do you have capacity? So any of the people listening who need a fractional COO and help with their operations, are you available?
I do have capacity. I mean, I'm running a daily podcast right now, and I have a fractional COO position. So I have 4 or 5 hours open that I tend to spend writing, reading, and arithmeticing. But I do have some capacity.
Excellent. So anyone out there who is who needs that help, you know who to call.
I would say though, like, I only want to work with people that actually want to change their lives and change the future of their businesses. Most people are not willing to do what it takes to actually reach their goals. And that is very frustrating to work with people like that. I am willing to do whatever it takes to become a better human being and reach my goals. And I've just found that most people aren't, and they won't listen to you. And I don't want to work with people like that.
It's funny. I tell my clients when they ask me like, would we be a good fit for you? And my first question is, have you told your ideas to someone else and they told you were crazy? Because if you haven't, you should go around and talk to some people and see if they think you're crazy. And if they think you're crazy and they don't think they can help you, then that's when you call me. I'm the one you call when you're like, this is not possible, or at least it's highly improbable. And then I
That's
start
awesome.
waving my magic wand around, and say
Yeah.
like, "Oh, we can do anything you want. We can
Right.
figure it out." Right? That's the way. Do you have a cute filter that you use as you're filtering clients?
I mean, right now I have like a recommended tech stack, and it's like, here's what I recommend. If you're not willing to use this tech, I can't really help you because this is the best tech.
Oh, do you wanna share it? I'm sure that one will be we'll cut that one out and do a little YouTube short for the, for
I mean,
exactly
I can.
what the tech stack is.
Let me quickly pull it up. Do you want to
I
ask
love it.
another question while I'm getting that?
While you're pulling it up? No, you can just tell me a story. You can narrate what you're doing. How about that?
All right. Well, I am opening school because I run a community for financial advisors on School. School is a social media platform. I am pulling open my 7,000 project, and I'm going to look at the ultimate tech stack for 2026.
Alright,
So last year in February 2025, I published a book. I basically took the Kits' Advisor Tech map, 600-ish companies, 36 categories, and I picked my favorite one in each category. And my goal with that was like the map is super helpful. It's super helpful to know what the tech is in each category, but that's like you take the map, each advisor's not going to go and demo like all 17 tools in each category. And even if they did spend the time to do that, they wouldn't even necessarily know like what they're even looking for. So my goal was do a ton of demos, talk to a ton of founders, actually figure out what tech I really liked and what tech actually solves the problems, and then pick the top ones. So that was February 2025. I'm publishing the 2026 version in March, but I've made the list way shorter. I'm trying to, and honestly, in a year the technology in this space has improved incredibly. So it's really exciting time to be in advisor technology.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want the list, huh?
I mean, I think they want the list. That's for sure.
All right. So if you're running a business, you need a calendar, you need an email. I recommend G Suite. I think Microsoft Business Suite is fine as well, but G Suite is slightly easier to use. You're going to need a phone. So I recommend Current Client. It has phone and texting capabilities to do compliantly archiving for advisors. You're going to need
which
a meeting.
One was that
one? Current Client.
Current Client. Okay, cool. That's for your telecom.
Yep. You're going to need a way to meet with people. So either in an office or on Zoom, like most people do. So I recommend Zoom for scheduling and video meetings. Some people are like, you're using G Suite, why not use Google Meet? I just don't like Google Meet. I'm sorry.
Yeah, fair. And you like the Zoom scheduling over like Google scheduling or Calendly?
I think Calendly is has the most features, especially if you're running a large team and you're trying to like combine calendars between different advisors or something. But for me personally, like just using the basic Zoom scheduler and Zoom to run the meetings is very clean.
Nice. I love that. Fun fact, I think I was the first financial advisor to use Calendly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I came on when it first came out. I met with the founder, had a little chit chat. It was it was fun.
And Calendly has like 50% of the advisor booking market now, pretty much.
Yep. It's crazy.
It's a great tool. I think sometimes when you're picking technology, you just pick the clear market leader because they're the market leader for a reason.
Yeah, totally.
And sometimes you do the exact opposite and you avoid the market leader like the plague because they're terrible.
Absolutely. Yeah, I run across both those. I've been doing a lot of programming, and it's like sometimes you're like, okay, do I want to use the framework that a lot of people use so that there's a lot of like articles on it when I get stuck, or do I want to use the one that no one ever used and it's the new cool hotness and then it's faster and whatever, but I'll have to figure it out. And sometimes I do one, sometimes I do the other.
Yeah. Well, and advisors want to pick a tool that's going to be around for a few years. It can be a pain to switch tools.
Especially when you're forced to and it's not your choice.
Right.
That's the worst.
There's a lot of tools hitting the market right now, and a lot of them, 90% of them won't make it. So, you don't exactly want to pick the wrong tool and then have to switch when they go out of business.
It's funny, like it's not a tech tool, but they just discontinued my shampoo that I've used for like 15 years.
Oh, dear.
Like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Like, it's the worst tragedy in my life right now. And that sounds insane given the world today, but like, whoa, that's hard to adjust to.
That's interesting. No, clearly you were one of
a
few that were buying it. So then I get a bit into marketing, because I think it's super important. If you're building a firm and a tech stack, you need to have a way to get the word out. I'm recommending a course called Become Unforgettable, which is all about writing LinkedIn content in such a way that is super enticing, tells stories, helps people. Um, and then LinkedIn is what I recommend to get started in content production. Substack is my recommendation for an email newsletter. And then YouTube is an amazing platform, probably the top organic search platform in the world if you're going to put out video content.
Well, here we are.
And here we are. I just truly believe, if advisors want to grow their organic growth, they've got to create content, they've got to build a personal brand, and these platforms are free and super easy to use and have huge user bases. And if you're telling a good story and solving real problems, they're a great way to grow.
Interestingly, like, you'll hear a lot of people, if you went in and said, oh, just, start a YouTube channel or whatever. And they'll come, they come back. It's like, well, yeah, but it's so hard to build an audience. There's so much attention for eyeballs. And you start thinking like, well, let's say you had 20 people watch your video, right? And you're a financial advisor. That's still hugely valuable. Unless all 20 of them were your mom just watching it over and over, which sure is possible. But all you need is one person who sees it and then calls you. And that is worth an entire year's worth of content creation because of how, high margin and valuable one single client is. Unlike every other industry where, you get one sale, you make $3, right? In this situation, you had one client and it's worth, tens of thousands of dollars in enterprise value.
Yeah.
And so don't worry about I had a lot of partners, right? When I was at an advisory firm and, they do speaking events or they do, videos or they do whatever kind of social media stuff. It's like, yeah, only like 8 people saw it. It wasn't worth my time. And I'm like, oh, 8 people saw it. That was worth your time. Right. And you don't know who's going to see it in the future because that stuff lives forever.
Yeah.
One time I had a client call me and said, oh yeah, I saw you. I heard you on a Kids' podcast. I'm like, that was from 7 years ago. And they're like, yeah, well, it was really good. I'm like, okay, cool. I don't remember what's on there, but let's go.
I have not been on the Kids' podcast yet, but it's a career-changing event when it happens because so many people watch it. If you're pitching something that advisors need, you're going to get absolutely flooded for a year or two.
Absolutely.
So the next thing I recommend, well, actually, let me pause on there quickly. So like, if you're just brand new and you really need some clients, I think the easiest thing to do is pick a niche and then start a podcast with your niche. So if your niche is emergency physician doctors, just have an ER doctor on each podcast. People kind of like being on podcasts, and talk about their financial problems that they're dealing with, and then other ER doctors will start to listen to their podcasts. Other ER doctors will want to be on your podcast, and you've kind of. I think that may be the very fastest way to get clients if you're able to niche down.
Now I'm pretty skeptical about niche marketing. I like it. Okay. I'm not saying it doesn't work, but so where I'm skeptical is when someone comes in and says like, well, how do I pick my niche? And I'm like, well, you can't just pick a niche. Like, how do you know where you're going to be successful? You're going to flail around a little bit. Finding your niche is fairly easy. If you're a musician, then focus on music. If you're doing whatever, then focus on that, right? Use your passions and make that jump in. But some people kind of look and they're looking at niches because they're a good marketing opportunity, right? They look, oh, there's a lot of ER doctors, for example. Now, if your spouse isn't a physician, which is seemingly every advisor I've ever met who focuses on doctors, is because they're married to one. Right. Because they know how to speak the language. Same thing with attorneys. There's some connection to being an attorney. There's some connection somewhere where they have an ability to compete where other people can't, right? They're just there. I did very well with the Burning Man community, right? Because who else are they going to talk to? I'm the weird hippie guy, so they're not going to go to some square in a suit. You know what I mean? And so, like, do you have advice for people on what to do when they're like, well, I don't know what my niche would be? It's like, well, then don't worry about it, or just talk about what you like, or find a friend, or what would you say to someone like that?
Yeah, well, Guy Penn of Core Planning just posted something on this today. Actually, he said, what kind of people do you like hanging out with? What kind of problems do you like solving? Like, make it very, very simple. I think another thing is I just lost the thought. Oh, similarities. So every human being has a place they were raised, a school they went to, a hobby they played, a sport they played, an interest they pursued. Just line up all the things that make you you, and then line up a list of other human beings that there's some overlap. And I think that's about the easiest way to pick a niche.
Sure, do what you like. I had someone who used to call that passion marketing, and he used to find most of his clients fly fishing. Like, why fly fishing? He's like, well, you're standing next to some other person for like 4 hours. You have nothing else to talk about. And so we just talk about what I do. And, by the end of the 4 hours, you're best friends because you're just hanging out. Um, Seemed to work for him. So that's pretty good advice. Where I'm especially skeptical of niches is when you tie yourself to it, right? And you're like, oh, I am the advisor who only works with these people. Now, at some point, as you grow, you're going to tap that out. If it's a good niche, it's narrow, right? And if it's narrow, it's limited, right? There's only so many people you're going to be able to work with from that niche, right? If your niche is women, obviously you're not going to run out of women, but that's not a niche, right? So 51% of the population.
Yep.
And so for me, my advice generally is, hey, look, if you can find a marketing angle, right, and call that a niche if you want, so that people connect with you better, great, do that. But try not to limit yourself, because at some point you're going to have to spread your wings and kind of fly beyond that. And it's tough when you get stuck, and suddenly there's no more employees of SpaceX to go look for, right? You've talked to as many of them as they're going to talk to you.
Right. I think every human being is after the same thing generally. We all want to make more money. We all want more time freedom. We all want to do things we want to do and hang out with people we want to hang out with. So like if you we want to live epic lives. I mean, I think if you just find a group of people that you can really resonate with and help them lead an epic life, I think that can very easily be your niche. And it can be quite simple. Just how do you help someone make more money? How do you help someone live a more authentic life? How do you help someone solve a problem they're currently going through, like a divorce or a new child or a state change or a new business? Just find an event or find a type of person or a company, like you mentioned, SpaceX, that you resonate with and that you're excited about serving those people and go after it.
So it seems like the key on there, and we can stay here as long as you want, but
Sure.
it seems like the trick in that kind of niche marketing or passion marketing or whatever you want to call it, is you're going to find someone from that, right? Someone who sits right in the middle and is one of the kind of centers of the, it's like if you want to focus on ER doctors, you find a client who's an ER doctor, right? And then in order to get in touch with all their friends, they have to tell their friends about you, right? Because otherwise it's hard to target that niche. That could be by getting them on your podcast, because my experience has been the same as yours. When you go to someone, I go to someone and say, hey, you want to be on my show? And they go, yeah, of course, that sounds cool. Unless they're shy and they're like, no, that's not for me. And those are the two reactions I've got is, oh, absolutely, that sounds cool. Or I don't do that, right? Someone told me, I have a face for radio. And so like, what do you think once you find the kind of people you want to work with, and you get one or two, because the first couple are obviously the hardest because you have to convince them to take a chance on you. You get one or two of them, maybe they're good connectors, maybe they're not, but then how do you take that next step in your advice?
I think LinkedIn is a fantastic way to find people. LinkedIn, just free LinkedIn has search parameters. So you type in a word. I mean, for me, it's super easy. I work with financial advisors, so I literally can type in CFP, and I'll have a list of 100,000 people on LinkedIn I can connect with. There's
Sure.
more people than I would ever have time to work with problems that I am passionate about solving. I think that.
Are you just cold contacting people on LinkedIn? You're like, hey, you're a financial advisor, check out my tech book, and then you go from there. How do you do that when you don't know them or have a connection?
So I focus on second connections. I guess you can only do that once you've started building, but I connect with 20 or 30 CFPs per day that are second connections, meaning they know someone that I know.
Okay, so you're just going through your connect. Once you're a second level connection, are you going through the person who's your connection, or are you just pinging them directly? Like, hey, I see we both know so and so.
I don't even
you're just
use a note. I just hit the connect button. I just hit the connect
and
button.
then they'll
20
see
times.
the mutual when they look at you. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's a very easy. I mean, you can do it in like 5 minutes per day. It's a very easy way to grow your following or grow your connections within a niche. And then as soon as you've got some first connections, you can start conversations with them. I would just say, and I don't even do that, honestly. I just connect with people and then put out really interesting content, and then it seems to work itself out.
You're not even sending them a message. You're just sending them a connection request.
Yeah. I guess if I was like brand new and I didn't have a lot of content that's already been out in the world for a while, I could start talking to people. But it's just weird. It's weird to connect with someone and immediately start a conversation, and people are very used to getting pitch slapped, and so I almost prefer to connect with someone. And
I love pitch slapped more than anything I've ever heard. That's amazing.
It's I think especially, I mean, I've been writing about AI prospecting a lot, and I think that if you want to grow organically, which organic means like natural or human, or you think of organic food or organic farmers, do things that normal humans would do potentially, like before the internet ever existed. You would go hang out in places where other people like you hung out. But it's very weird to just walk up to people and start talking to them, unless you're in a situation where everyone has agreed to be there.
Right.
So,
well, LinkedIn's kind of like that, right? I mean, once you're on LinkedIn, it's like you're kind of saying like, "Hey, I like doing business," right? No one's saying you shouldn't. I mean, if you're on LinkedIn just posting pictures of your lunch, I think you're in the wrong place. Which honestly is why LinkedIn feels like, 1/10 as toxic as any other social media platform, because it's not anonymous, so we all know who you are, and you want to do business. And so if you're an asshole, we're not going to do business with you, right? And there are people that I just go unfollow, because I just don't. I'm like, nope, not you. You're out. I don't want to see your stuff anymore.
Yeah, and I don't think people realize how easy it is to ramp up. So like, make a list of the other thing is, this is even for people that are looking for a job. Like, if you're looking for a job, make a list of the companies you want to work for, and then like post it publicly. Say, I'm a financial advisor. Here are 20 RIAs I'd be thrilled to work for. Message me.
Totally. That's the advice I give everyone looking for a job: is create your dream firm list first.
Right. Yeah.
And then start connecting to every single person who works there.
Exactly.
And as someone who ran a big firm and we hired lots and lots of people, I would walk through the hallways and I'd hear about people who were doing that. And they'd say like, "Hey, this guy Jason, connected with me. He really wants to work here." And then someone else like, "Oh, Jason, this? Oh yeah, he connected with me too. Wow, he really likes us." And they're just literally talking about you in the halls, and not the hiring people, but the other people that are going to get invited into the interviews are hearing your name. And so when you come in, they're like, "Wow, you really like it. You really like us." And that's a weirdly huge flex for a job seeker, right? If you like the firm more than anybody else, you're more likely to get the job.
Right. I think it's if you're just spraying resumes and hoping one of them sticks, I think there's not much more depressing in life than doing that.
Right. Well, especially in professional services, you have these advisors. Your job as an advisor is to network, connect with people, make people trust you and understand you. And if you can't do that in the job interview process, how are you going to do it in your profession?
Yeah, for sure. And everybody's bored. I think this is another massive key to content. Everybody is bored out of their minds. And if you're funny or you're saying stuff that most people aren't saying, like, the best way to get eyeballs, get attention, get anything, is to be nonconformist. Like, say the stuff everybody's thinking, but no one is willing to say.
Yeah. Or just make everyone argue with you is fine too, right? You can be the contrarian if you want to. There's plenty of those famous people out there. Sometimes that's my jam. Sometimes it's not. Or be the contrarian against someone that everyone everyone hates anyway. So it ends up working out very well.
So yeah, there's a couple other concepts. One of them is audience hijacking or positive trolling. So basically, if you want to pick a really famous person in your niche, let's just say Josh Brown or Michael Kitces, and double bell them on LinkedIn, which means you get a notification every time they post. Every time they post, leave a thoughtful comment that you wrote with your human brain, not with AI. But basically, positively troll the people who would resonate with whatever you're trying to say. And I do that a lot. I mean, that's kind of how basically every time I log into LinkedIn, I've got posts by all the people I want to go comment on, and then I just work them one by one.
That's smart. That's really smart. Now, in terms of content, I will tell you, I post a lot of stuff. Sometimes I'm snarky, sometimes I'm trying to educate. But I think my highest performing post last year, I was sitting in a coffee shop and there was a Merrill Lynch broker trying to sell to some guy, and I was just kind of live commenting on the conversation as I was hearing it. I think 3 times as many people listen to my snarky little live tweeting as any other cool post that actually gave them actionable advice.
That's great.
So I mean, that kind of carries into your point of like entertain people, because we all like shit talk because that's entertaining.
Yeah.
But any thoughts on voice and kind of content and anything you've seen that works better?
It's a journey to find your authentic voice. I think anybody that starts writing or producing content is the words just don't flow. Your brain hasn't been trained to produce words. So you've got to practice. You practice by doing. Just as soon as you have an idea, go and share the idea. Like every time you have an idea of something you want to write about, literally just like write it down or go. I love the Creative Act by Rick Rubin. I don't know if you've read that book. But just it's
Rick Rubin, the like record producer.
Yeah. He wrote a really good book about creativity. And one of them is inspiration dies. So like if an idea comes to you and you're feeling really inspired, just like get the entire idea out as quickly as you can. Because that's when your brain tends to flow. If you write an idea down and come back to it later, sometimes the flow will be gone. I think that with content, it's just practice. It's just volume. Just write and write and write. See what resonates. And lean into, like, if you want to say something that your inner voice is telling you is not quite appropriate, like post it anyway. See what happens, and you'll tend to realize what works and what doesn't.
The internet's memory is generally pretty short, unless it's not. But if you say something wrong, mostly it just fades away. Unless it's too wrong, and then you're famous forever, and that's a bummer. But it happens. So be a little careful. I have another piece of advice I always give candidates, and I'm curious to hear what you think about it. On LinkedIn, you're doing that connection to someone that is kind of higher up the food chain than you, right? So you're, trying to connect with Michael Kitces or someone out there. You went to their talk, or you saw their YouTube show, or whatever it is, right? And what I tell them is, in that situation where a little bit about the person, you've had some connection, like you went to their webcast or whatever you did. And I say, include a note when you connect, so because it gives the person context of why should I say yes, right? But my general advice is, instead of just saying like, hey, I'd love to connect with you, I saw your show, it was awesome, right? Which is always nice to hear, and that's cool. But more effective, I think, is if they ask a question that is about their passion. So, for example, I do a whole thing with the externship, and had a big long chat, and someone connected with me right after the next day, and I have this Tolkien book behind me, and she said, "Hey, I saw your Tolkien book behind you. What's your favorite Lord of the Rings movie?" Right? Very specific question. I can answer it in one word, but the reality is, we talked for 45 minutes, just chatted back and forth. Because I'm like, you just asked me about something I really like. So I'm like, well, I like this, but actually, and of course this scene was changed from and I start going on, and then of course she is also her passion. So she's like, and we're just, chatting with each other for a long time. And of course we have a deeper connection.
I have a super practical example. actually. So I recently collaborated with Michael Kitces on the advisor services map. So there's been a fintech map for a while, but literally just this week, Monday, I think, he launched the services map. And so all the people on the map have been like reposting the map and saying, I'm so excited to be on the map. It's a lot of fun to watch that. And my LinkedIn notifications are just blowing up. And now I understand why when you write to people that are getting a ton of inbound, they don't always write back because they literally can't humanly do it. So this one guy, just every single time, he probably double belled me, but every time I posted, he had a super thoughtful comment. And then he pitched me in the DMs and was like, hey, I can help you sell more of your books. And he's like, can I have your email? So he sent me an email, but the reality is I just don't have time right now to review his email. But I had an idea and I was like, here's the problem that I actually need solved right now. Can you solve this problem? So successful people are already working on like 3 really important projects to them. And you don't want to approach them and try to pitch them a new project. You want to figure out what are the problems they're already facing in their brains, like the conversations they're already having, and figure out how you can help them. Or just straight up ask them. Well, straight up asking sometimes is lazy because they're not going to tell you their problems. If you can guess what they're trying to solve or what problems they're running into, and then provide a solution with pure initiative, like, it looks like you're trying to accomplish this. Here's something I made, whether it's a video or a document or something, or an image. Like, is this helpful for you? So this guy got my attention. I was like, I've got this idea for a Lord of the Rings themed advisor tech map. Here's exactly what I want. If you can make this for me, I'll pay you $100. So he did it. I paid him, and then I called him out on my next Substack.
That's amazing.
So that's, if you're looking to get someone's attention, that's how you do it.
Absolutely. All right, where were we? We were on LinkedIn on your tech stack list.
Back to LinkedIn. Yeah, so the next one is School. So School is a community platform. Think of it like Facebook groups, or there's other community platforms, Circle and Mighty Networks. I just really like School. The founder of School is Sam Ovens, who used to have consulting.com, and basically online business owners were piecing together like 4 or 5 different tools in order to run an online business, a payment solution, a call, a live call solution, a course solution. And he's like, what if I put all of this in one platform so that it's super easy to run a business online? And truly, I think if you're an entrepreneur and you want to make money online and you know something about some subject, start a School community.
Awesome.
So that's, and
that's School with a K, right? That's SKOO.
Yeah, SKOOL. Yeah. Alex Hormozy now is a co-owner. Alex Hormozy is probably the #1 marketer in the world. And then next is CRM. So, Redtail, Wealthbox, Salesforce, pretty well-known CRMs. I think that they're Redtail and Wealthbox are falling really far behind right now. So the CRM I'm recommending is Slant. Slant is Slant. SLANT.
I've heard of that one.
I think it's Slant CRM. No, I think it's Slant.
It's okay. I have Google. I can find it. Interesting. Okay, that's a new one. I haven't looked at that one yet. Fun.
So I've been saying for a long time, like, all these AI note takers came out, and I'm like, the AI note taker belongs in the CRM. The data that the AI note taker is producing, just naturally, it should be in the CRM. So having a separate CRM from your note taker just doesn't make any sense to me.
Totally.
Slant has an integrated AI note taker. It has email sequencing. It has really good workflows in like Kanban format. It has prospecting tools. You can use natural language and say, hey, I'm looking for ER physicians that live in New York that went to this college, and it will pull you a list of them, and then you can add them to a sequence. I've been looking for a better mousetrap than Redtail and Wealthbox for a long time, and I really like what Slant is doing.
It looks, I just pulled it up. It looks like the integrations here are a little light. Does that concern you at all?
It does not. they're new. I mean, they just launched. So here's what I like to say. So AI or Wealthbox built an AI note taker this year. It took them. They said it was going to release in July, and it took them like 2 months longer than they said. And it was like a bare bones AI note taker. Slant built an entire CRM that has better features than Wealthbox in the same time that Wealthbox was building a bare bones AI note taker. And I think that is the pace of technological change we're dealing with right now.
Yeah, sure.
So,
all right. So we like Slant, a little, a new kid on the block. Okay.
I do. The next one is like financial planning. Like what, and maybe we can throw client portal in there too. Like, I think this industry has been solving the wrong problem. I think this industry has been building.
This is gonna be fun. We're gonna make a bunch of people mad right now. So go tell your friends they should show up now because we're about to get controversial and make people hate us. All right, let's talk about financial planning software and how it's all bad.
The outputs that the big names in financial planning are producing are the outputs that advisors want to see. I don't think they're what clients want. I think I don't know if anyone's ever stopped and asked clients like, hey, what output do you actually want from this engagement? I think clients want to live an epic life. They want to make a ton of money. They want to save for, a fun vacation or a nice car or retirement, or they don't want a big long plan. So these one-page plans got super popular, which I think is in the right direction. Sure. But clients, I almost think we need to look at like consumer facing tools like the Monarch Monies and the Mint.coms and those are ones that clients are going up and signing up for, YNABs and stuff like that. They're signing up for themselves. They're using themselves. It's giving them an accurate, up-to-date view of their net worth, of their transactions, of their budgeting, of their goals. These are tools that people are using and there's not even an advisor involved.
Right.
I think that we need a shift. I mean, advisors can use these tools. You can use a Monarch Money with your client. So the tool I'm recommending here is called Credora, which is just a very, it's like a 4-page plan. You
spell that one?
KERDEO, or sorry, DORA, Credora.
Credora. All right. Okay, keep going. I'm gonna pull it up here just so I can see what you were talking about.
There's a sample plan at the top. You can click sample plan, it will show you. But basically you can take your statements, you can take a net worth, you can take a W-2, you just take all these documents, you drop it into the platform. It will use AI to parse it all and it will build a financial plan. And it really just shows you where you are currently, and then what you need to do next. And so, you can customize it a bit. But I think that's actually what clients want. Clients want to know how they're doing currently and then what they need to work on next. It's much more around like a financial action checklist or a next steps checklist. And then
I think you probably want to put a disclaimer on that one, that you're talking about the kind of typical client for the typical newer advisor. Obviously a client who comes in with 6 trusts and $30 million and 4 businesses and a lot of complication in their life.
Sure.
This kind of thing isn't close to enough, right? They need some significant both tax planning and asset location and a lot of other really complicated decisions that something like this just gets us hey, here's your snapshot and this is helping you save. But like, there comes the point where the client is past the point where they need to save. They now have gotten all the critical capital they need. They have what they have to have. And it's a question, your question shifts from, well, how do I get organized so I can have a good financial life, to how do I keep what I have? And then if they keep graduating, they get into, okay, what do I do with all this stuff that I don't need? Because I have more than I need. And these kind of tools end up working great for that first subset. Right. The second subset, it may be okay, maybe not. And that third subset, it's just not even close.
Have you heard of Libretto by Jeff Coyle?
Oh yeah, no, it's genius, right?
Okay,
Libretto the one I feel like is doing it right.
Yeah,
mostly because it doesn't use Monte Carlo, and Monte Carlo for me is the death of good communication with clients.
Yeah, if you're complicated, if you're gifting money to your kids, if you're trying to save money for their to buy a car when they turn a certain age, I think Libretto is super solid platform.
All right. So then Cordora for the kind of, you know, simpler clients, as we would tell you, the people who are still building, right? And then Libretto certainly for those, big clients who have too much and they need to figure out their excess. And then in the middle, they'll kind of like your traditional retirees. You could probably use either one. Libretto is obviously going to be a little more complicated. This might be a little more simple, and you just kind of have to pick your poison for your own style. Is that a fair way to break that out?
Yeah, I mean, I've worked for like 10 different financial advisors using a lot of the big names in financial planning. They barely use them. I mean, sometimes they use them for account aggregation. Most often they didn't even use them at all. And with a client, they were either using like a spreadsheet or just a simple like napkin drawing. There are some advisors that like hardcore use these planning tools with every client, but that's not been my experience. So that's why I like what Cordora is doing. I like what Libretto is doing.
Any other favorites out there? Because some of these are taste based, right?
Yeah.
Like if you like the difference between eMoney and Money Guide Pro, kind of the two big leaders from the former days.
Right.
The difference between the two of those are taste, right? You might like one, you might like the other, but fundamentally you're gonna get the same answer from both of them at the end of the day.
Yeah. I just saw a demo of one yesterday. It's called Wavevest Planning. It literally creates a financial plan on the fly. You give it a prompt, you give it documents to reference, you tell it what steps you want it to work through, and it will literally write code and produce a financial plan that looks different depending on what prompt it was given. That is probably the most modern. It's producing financial plans that aren't like templated. It's producing like a custom financial plan based on the prompt. That I think is probably a bit more where we're going, considering all the
Sure. Now, some of these tools you've mentioned are, like the CRM, and this one are heavy AI integration.
right.
Now, if we go out and ping 100 firm owners and start asking them about AI and what their comfort level is and how much they would trust it, you're going to get answers that look like a standard probability curve. But you're pretty bullish on AI, obviously, as we can tell. What would you say to the people who are either concerned about it from a compliance perspective, or just from a general philosophical perspective that they don't like it?
There's a fantastic story. I think it was a story Michael Kitts has told, but it was the shift from physical in-office servers to the cloud, and a lot of advisors were very resistant to the cloud. They're like, no, I want my server under lock and key. So then
the cloud computing chapter for Joel Bruckenstein's revised book, and you'd get people would just come and be like, you can't do that. That's not safe. I'm like, yo, your server's in your kitchen, bro. Like, this is where where safety is a whole. I trust Google more than you. That's for sure.
Right.
So anyway, continue.
So the story was that this office was in a shared office space with like those ceiling tiles that you can like pop up. So someone just put up a ladder, popped out some ceiling tiles, climbed over the wall, stole the server, climbed back over, and left. And they're like, and that's more secure than having it online in the cloud. Wherever that server is like in a giant building that's like got 24/7 security. The point is, sure, there are some compliance concerns with AI, and AI definitely needs to be implemented in guardrails. But the future is coming, and whether you want it or not. And what's interesting is I actually have been super anti AI in all my writing.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I don't use AI for writing.
In the creative aspect. So anytime you're marketing, building relationships, creating content, I did a poll, and basically 35% of people say if your human written content and AI generated content is mixed, people immediately trust you less because they don't know.
You did. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Now, I mean, that said, if you suck at writing, then go ahead and let AI write for you because it'll improve you. But almost by definition, AI will be probably like the 60th percentile. right? Because it would be 50th, but they do some things to tweak it up to make it like focus on good writing, but it's only ever going to get to 60, maybe 70th percentile of writers.
Right.
If you're better than it, then anytime you use AI, it just means your writing will get more mediocre. If you're worse than it, if you're a 20th percentile writer, like I just don't like to write, well, of course AI is going to do better. Everyone will get up to the 60th percentile, basically.
Yeah. No, I like to say all the best practices are now the average practices because AI has commoditized all knowledge.
Exactly. The other interesting thing about kind of the safety, and like the privacy issues with AI, they're sitting here using e-money and saying like, hey, well, I don't trust the AI providers. They can just see my client's data. And I'm like, so you trust Fidelity and the e-money people because they can see your client's data too. Like the databases are all, someone in that organization has the database keys, right? They can go in and see everything in every organization. There's no organization where that stuff, well, that's not true. There's some encrypted things and you can, like Proton or whatever, you can start playing with that kind of encrypted data storage. But, someone is going to be able to, start undoing those things. As much in the AI companies or in any of the other companies where you have your data in a database.
Yeah.
You have your client files in Google or Box or something. Right. You think you're in control of those? Like just as much risk of loss for just data sitting at rest than there is in, some AI model.
Right. Yeah, for sure. So then in my recommendations, I have a line. And basically my point with this line is that you don't have to be an RIA up until this point. Like you could run a life coaching business, a life planning business, a financial coaching business. Just avoid the investment advice. And I don't think you have to be a registered RIA. And I think you can run a very good, very profitable business.
Yeah, it depends on your state, and it's still better to do it because I'd rather be bulletproof. Last thing you want to do is have someone come in and say, "Oh, you're not allowed to operate anymore, and here's your fine." That gets a little sketchy.
That would be bad. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm generally a fan of just go ahead and register. It's not that complicated.
Right.
But I hear you. You don't have to, theoretically, maybe, depending on who the administration is and how much they care about that.
So my next two are a custodian, obviously, and a compliance solution. So for custodian, I'm recommending Altruist. And then for compliance, I'm recommending Greenboard.
Great. I know both of them.
Sweet.
My money is at Altruist. Although I keep getting mad at them because they keep putting out amazing stuff for their advisors, but it doesn't trickle down to me.
Oh.
Right?
As like the client?
Yeah, exactly. I think so many of the providers in our space focus on advisor experience and not end client experience as their primary. And the reality is it should be reversed. All of our tech providers should be focused on end client experience first, advisor experience second, because at the end of the day, if you can make an advisor's client experience better, then their experience will be better inherently, right? Because their clients will be stickier. And the number of times that I'm just mad at Altruist and therefore kind of get mad at my advisor, not really, but a little, like, why can't I run this stupid report?
Sure.
Right? Why can't I run a monthly report on Altruist that tells me my balances every month in an Excel sheet that I could then load into Monarch so I have all my historical data?
Yeah.
Why can't I do that? I'm not even sure my advisor can do that. Right? So like they're putting out AI chatbots that I can't use, but I can't run a stupid report. And that's just silly.
Well, I do think they're moving that direction though. I mean, so like, I don't know. Can a client go into Schwab and like add funds to their account on their own? I guess they can.
Oh yeah. I mean, they shouldn't. And most advisors would shut that down.
Okay.
But I know I could log into my Schwab account and run a historical report. That's for sure. Right. No question.
But Altruist makes it super easy from the client side to set up an automatic deposit on a weekly basis or monthly basis.
Oh, yeah. A few cool self-service things that I like.
Now you can open the client can open their own cash savings accounts too. They just launched that a couple days ago. So
I saw that. That's cool. I opened one. I haven't funded it yet, but we'll see.
Yeah. Greenboard, a competitor Greenboard is Hadrius, which is also super popular. In my opinion, Hadrius is overpriced, but I think for the right firm, I guess it's a better solution. The next one's fun. Have you seen RIA Pulse? RIAPulse.com. So it's basically taking all the SEC's data and making it publicly available in a form that's super easy to search and view and, look at growth rates over time, compare firms.
Oh, nice.
So I'm a big fan of what they're doing. It's free currently. They're working on a version that will be paid. But
nice.
if you want to, yeah.
I've actually built a very similar thing in my job board.
Okay.
I'm working on a free job board for the community,
Nice.
and I included in bringing in all of the SEC data because I wanted the job seekers to be able to research firms that would be their dream firms.
Yeah.
To do that list we talked about earlier and have it all in one place where they could just search the firms and actually favorite those firms, even if the firms haven't signed up to the website. Then, of course, the firm would get a little notice saying like, "Hey, someone favorited you," and then that would get them to come and put their job listings on the free job board, which they should be doing anyway.
I didn't know you were. Yeah. So I've actually started to
release that. Yeah, that's one of the projects I'm working on that is
that
I haven't done yet. So I got to a prototype phase, and then I went to put it and host it, and I'm like, oh, this needs some work.
Just use that. Niceboard.com is a really good job board that you can launch in an hour.
Nice.
If you don't want to code your own, I guess.
Oh no, I'm having fun coding my own. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
That's what I do on Saturdays.
Yeah.
It's a fun hobby.
So that's kind of the end of the core stack that I think makes a really solid base for an RIA. I have a bunch of extras, tax planning tools, estate planning, health insurance planning, 401k.
Any particularly fun ones that they can go? Everyone can go look at your list, I assume, because you publish it. But any particular ones you want to highlight that are special, cool?
Well, I'll just go through the whole list really fast, I guess. Superhuman Mail is for managing email. It makes email management way less painful. Jason Wenk of Altruist has been writing about Hazel and how Hazel is going to have some really cool email management features. So that's one to keep an eye out for. Monarch for budgeting and cash flow planning. Vitals AI is a really cool one that's coming out, and it's going to be. Let me see what the website is. It's AdvisorVitals.com. It's kind of like a business benchmarking coaching platform. So it pulls all the data in from your. Right now, it's Orion and Wealthbox are the integrations, but they're actively working on adding more, and even making you be able to just like upload a spreadsheet of data. But it tracks your clients, your AUM, your churn rate. It takes all this data, it organizes it, segmentation, and then it starts giving you coaching. Like, hey, if your goal is to add 100 million in AUM this year, this is what you need to do on a monthly basis to reach that goal.
Be interesting to see if it's actually giving good actionable advice.
So that's a super interesting one. FP Pathfinder's been around for a while, but that's like client service calendar and checklists. So InvestiPal, so this is a risk tolerance questionnaire solution, but it also has IPS, proposal, investment analysis, lead gen, something you can put on your website to gather people's information. And I like it because it's doing like 4 or 5 things pretty well in one platform. So if you're looking to do risk tolerance, analyze statements, do IPSs, and do proposals in a pretty sleek platform, I'd look at InvestiPal. Holistiplan for tax planning. They've kind of been the lion in the tax planning space. Encore Estate for estate planning.
You like that better than like Wealth.com or Vanilla or Wealth and Trust?
I talked to a lot of people about these companies, and that's what I've heard is Encore Estate. It still has the human touch. They can handle slightly more complicated estate plans.
Okay. That's good.
Wealth.com and Vanilla, like they have huge dollars behind them, but I've heard that Encore is a bit better, and there's actually some others that I'm meeting with soon that nice. Are doing some stuff too.
That's cool.
Move Health, which is actually the hat I'm wearing, is for health insurance planning. So it's a way for advisors to help their clients choose health insurance plans.
Is it just analyzing the plans, or is it going out there and actually looking at what's available and helping them actually execute on it?
It's actually looking at what's available and
cool.
choosing
that's
the
super
right
cool.
plan. And then they also have
a big new growth engine, I think, in the future. For everyone to add.
Yeah. And they also have insurance agents licensed in all 50 states, so they can actually help you write the insurance too. So that's a pretty good one.
Health insurance. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Water Lily for long-term care planning, Capitalize for 401k rollover management. And then the last one I have on the list is Wealth Feed for money and motion tracking and prospecting.
Cool. All right. I want to put a giant piece of advice here for anyone who is watching this now or later. These are a bunch of really cool tools and they're going to help you grow your business. But the thing that helps you grow your business most is not implementing tools, but going out there and finding clients. So you should budget a small percentage of your time that you use to implement new tools. Do them slowly over time as you need them, not in advance of needing them. And instead go out there and just go find clients. That's way better. You'll grow much faster. If you have no tech and go out there and are good at finding clients, you'll have way more clients than someone who's really good at tech and spends all their time building an infrastructure for something that they don't then fill.
Yeah.
So fair warning, anytime we talk about tech, people are like, what tech should I need? I'm like, email and a piece of paper. You could do all your work theoretically with that.
I absolutely agree. And I'm an advisor tech consultant. But what I've realized is like the tech doesn't matter. Your mindset matters so much more. Totally. If you don't have the right mindset, if you don't have a growth mindset, if you're not crushing your limiting beliefs, like who cares what tech you're using?
Yeah. And on some level, figure out what you want to do, try it manually without the tech, get it to the point where you're like, I'm delivering this. You do just about anything with Excel. You know what I mean? Make it look like anything. Yeah. Get it in there and then go, okay, what tools are on the market that match what I want to do? Yeah. Rather than go, oh, I'm going to put in the standard stack. Then you put it in this stack and it doesn't match your style and it doesn't match your clients.
Yeah.
Not every client needs a full scale, interestingly presented financial plan. Some of them, like me with my advisor, if she sends me an actual copy of the financial plan, I'm like, what are you doing? I don't need that. I asked you one question. And that question is, if I never earned another $1, how much could I spend? And that's all I care about. And then I'm just going to keep working, keep saving until that answer is, oh, I like that amount. I'm done. Right. Yeah. And that's how I think about my finances. Sure. And everyone's going to have a different answer. But if you have a bunch of clients like me and you want to put in a financial planning tool just because it gets good looking output, well, you just wasted a whole implementation because I don't care about that. I don't even want to see it. I don't even want you to do it, honestly, right? I don't want you wasting all your time doing math when you could just tell me the right answer if you already know it.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Have you read Matt Jarvis's book, Delivering Massive Value?
No, I don't read business books unless they have vampires in them.
Okay.
There is one coming out, a personal finance book that does indeed have vampires in it. So finally someone met my needs.
Basically what he said was he was doing all these reports and then on their way out the door, clients were throwing them in the trash. And he's like, look, if they don't value this report at all, why in the world am I making it? He's like, let me stop doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So that's your tech list. That's all super cool. We put the caveat that it doesn't really matter. So that's cool too, but everyone likes it. So that's always fun.
Yep.
Now I've been starting to give people advice that with the tools today, right now, half the stuff that they could buy off the shelf, they could just build themselves. Agree or disagree?
I disagree. I think that you've really got to have a knack for coding at some level before you get into vibe coding. I think that I was actually just chatting with Jason Pereira about this today. I don't think you're going to build anything meaningful or useful or anything that will last. But basically, like if it takes you an hour to put it together, it's almost worthless. Like just because you can build it in an hour doesn't mean it's going to go change the world. I think that the tools that actually add value are like current client, like a phone is a very complicated piece of technology to not a physical phone like an iPhone, but like a phone app. He's been working on it for years and it's like the best phone app for advisors out there. It's not something you can vibe code in an hour.
No, of course. And but what about this idea that you're going out and looking for tech and you're going to find some tech thing that's going to give you 10 times more than you need when all you actually need is this one little thing. So for example, I had a client and we're trying to do group calendaring.
Okay.
So I could, and because just for one simple link, we wanted to look at both of our calendars. We're not in the same organization. right? So Calendly doesn't work, right? Because you need to be in the same organization. And I could now I could just pay more for Calendly and add her as a user on mine, that then she has to set up a whole second Calendly.
Yeah.
Right. That then interacts with her calendar in a slightly different way than her normal Calendly. And so we're trying to solve this problem. And I'm starting to look around, and we're looking at Google, and it has this little thing, and this has this little thing. But I could pretty easily use Claude Code or whatever tool you're using to come and just create a one skill tool, right? It's not a phone app, right? It's just, or it's not a scheduling app that's going to compete with Calendly or anything else. It's just something where I could send one link. It'll look at 4 of our calendars, my personal, my business, her personal, her business, and then sends an email invitation to the 7 people who are going to be invited. Done. Right? Super simple. It does that one thing. Doesn't do anything else. Doesn't require maintenance, because once it works, it works. And I don't have to roll it out to a whole team, right? Because that obviously complicates things too.
Right.
And so, like, if I were one of these SaaS vendors who's out there creating tools for everyone, if Claude Code came out in May, right? If we're already like 9 months in, and I was able to, with no programming language knowledge, although I have a master's in IT and I'm, savvy with tech, I've created my own AI meeting note taker, my own CRM that works inside of Obsidian. I've created 90% of a job board in my spare time while I'm doing consulting.
Yeah.
Right. I'm terrified for the SaaS vendors, because if that's possible after like 9 months of these tools really being good, because arguably like spring of last year is when they hit and kind of went, oh wait, this is real. This isn't fake. This isn't a toy. Right. And I don't know any developers who aren't using tools like this, unless their company says they can't. Right. Anyone who's able to is going to, because it means they can produce 10 times more code than they could otherwise.
Right.
And so I'm telling a lot of my clients, like, find someone in your organization who's willing to learn what GitHub is and what Vercel is, and maybe a little Python, and just kind of get the basics. Give them a subscription to the biggest one on Claude Code, and just tell them to start making stuff. If you're doing any Excel pivot tables, you should use this to replace that.
Okay.
There's no reason to use pivot tables anymore ever again for anyone. It'll write a Python script that'll do the same thing in 1 minute.
Yeah.
Right. And then and you can automate even that. Oh, just save it in this folder, and it'll automatically kick off these reports and upload it into QuickBooks.
Okay.
Right. That stuff is all easy for someone who with this much knowledge. Right. If you want to create a whole financial planning software, things get bigger. If you're going to have a 10-person team of people all vibe coding, now you need to know how like programming workflows work, and that's different. Right. But for those little tools that you might otherwise buy something off the shelf, instead, make it yourself, host it yourself. You don't need people to help you. What do you think about that?
I disagree. Like with your job board, like if you just went to niceboard.com and you have a job board instantly, and it's already, all the bugs have already been worked out. It's already got all the features most people want. It's fairly cheap. It's just a couple $100 a month. It's already hosted. You can immediately start charging for people to post jobs. There's a lot of thought and creativity and artistry and UI and UX that goes into building a really good, solid, usable tool. And I don't think most humans can pull off a really high quality app easily. That's my opinion. I would much prefer to use something that a real expert in their craft has built and really carefully thought through and is solving my problem than to go try to create a sloppy app with vibe coding. That's my opinion.
Sure. All right. Well, we found our first disagreement. I love that one. So I am a pro build it yourself to the extent that it is for like a person, right? So personal productivity or small group productivity.
Yeah.
And the UI UX doesn't matter because you're not putting it out publicly. It's just for you. Like, so those kind of things, I think the AI is great. But like you said, if you don't know how to develop applications, I don't care what tools you have. It's not going to be good. Yeah.
There is a calendaring app that you can overlay on your own calendar. You sign in with your Google or Microsoft, and it shows the person's availability on your own calendar. I don't remember offhand what it is, but like that has been solved. And then,
well, what's funny is so many of these things have been solved, but sometimes local control is just kind of better. The same way that like lots of things that you would do Excel for are solved. You could download a template for a budget template for Excel, but you're like, but I want mine to look like what I want it to look like. You know what I mean? As opposed to what they want it to look like. And so you just make your own because it's Excel and you're adept at it. And you got adept at Excel because you played with it and started experimenting and breaking things. And I think these AI programming tools are just going to do the same thing.
There are some builders in the advisor tech space that will build you a custom CRM in an Airtable or a Notion or Monday.com or Asana like that.
Sure.
They will, sit down with you, ask you exactly what you want, and they will build you a custom CRM or custom financial planning platform or custom client portal. And those are
my concerns about that though are that you don't have maintenance control. You now have to maintain it, or you have to keep paying them to maintain it.
Yeah.
Right. As opposed to someone in your organization has built it. It's kind of enculturated into your organization that exists, just like your complicated Excel model, right? That now you taught everyone to use, and now it's there. So
it's almost like paying for SaaS one time versus paying a monthly subscription. Because Microsoft Office used to be like, buy the 2002 version, it's like $79, and then you upgrade next year and you pay the next fee. But now software is constantly improving and constantly shipping new features, and so now it makes more sense to pay a monthly subscription so that they have recurring revenue and can keep building.
Yeah, I mean, it's great for the SaaS providers for sure.
Yeah.
But actually, sometimes what I've noticed is that that development cycle of, we're continually adding new features. We're adding this, we're adding that, we're adding this, we're adding that, we're adding this, we're adding that. For some firms, they're like, I just needed the thing that it already does. And now all of a sudden the UX, as you keep adding features, obviously gets more complicated. Right? It just constantly more and more things that then you have to then have change management in your organization to use. And you don't you don't get the choice to upgrade or not. It's just happening now.
Right. I like the software providers that actually kill features. So they build features and then they realize, actually, we don't need this one. Let's kill it.
Like, so we're just talking about Google now, or what are we talking about?
I don't know.
Because they do that constantly.
I mean, current client I know has built some features and then been like, nobody's actually using this and it's not helping what we're trying to achieve. So let's get rid of it.
Yeah, it's funny because I do use Claude Code as my development tool.
Yeah.
And literally 3 times a week there are release notes that I need to catch up on.
Yeah.
And I've gotten lost at this point. I don't even know half of what Claude Code can do, which makes sense because it's really made for people who aren't me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm using it I'm one of those people who buys the Ford F-350 and I live in a suburb. You know what I mean? Like, that wasn't for me, right? Like, I was supposed to be putting stuff in there, but I just use it as my daily driver, which is silly, right? So I am overusing, but that's because I like playing with fun stuff. You know what I mean? I'm playing in a way that other people aren't. And I have lots of time on my hand a little bit so that I can play. I can afford to go in and create new tools when most financial advisory firms can't.
I love to say that the cost of the SaaS is the least expensive part of it that you will pay for. The monthly subscription is the least expensive part. The big expense is the time, your attention, the tab that you're running in your head that's like, oh, I should be using Holistiplan, but I don't know how yet. So I'm just going to keep paying for it. Advisors are wasting tremendous amounts of time, attention, and money on tools they're not using that they feel like they should be. I think, I did a post about cancel half your tech stack. Like, make a list of everything you're paying for on a subscription basis. Literally take the bottom half and cancel it all. If you need it again, you can always go buy it again. But
totally.
Get 4 hours.
That's true for for everyone. They should just be going through and looking at all the things they subscribe to and just cancel them all, then just resubscribe to anything that they want to.
Right.
They'll save hundreds of dollars a month for sure. I'm paying for stuff I know right now. I can probably even think of 10 of them. I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't opened that in forever.
Yeah.
I'll just stay subscribed just in case I need it, like all the time.
So, and then take all the time savings and money savings that you're getting and go dump it into marketing, advertising, and going out and talking to people. And I think that's how you actually grow the business.
Yeah, for sure. No, hard agree on that one. That's for sure. All right. What's else is going on for you? What else do you want to talk about?
Organic growth is huge. I guess we've covered it a little bit. Do you have any thoughts on the AI prospecting tools? Or
yeah, I don't know. I haven't even looked at them.
Okay.
I have so many people. I have a different philosophy on growth. I'm more of a field of dreams kind of guy, right?
Okay.
If you build it, the clients will show up.
Yeah.
And I have lots of clients, they'll come to me with like 3 million of revenue, right? And they say, great. They say, yeah, growth has slowed down. I'm like, well, no kidding. You're at 3 million of revenue. That happens to every single firm at 3 million of revenue. I'm like, why does that happen? I said, well, you didn't build enough capacity. You got to go out there and create more capacity to bring on clients. You're not going to bring on clients if all your advisors are full. And they say, yeah, well, that means we're going to have to spend a bunch of money. I'm like, yeah, you need to spend a bunch of money that you should have spent 3 years ago to keep up with your growth so that you don't get full. They're like, yeah, but if we take that risk, which is a crazy thing to say, if we take that risk of hiring all those people to create capacity, what if we can't find the clients? How do we find clients? And I look at them like they're crazy, and I just give them a long pause usually, which is, a little awkward. And like, so where did the 3 million of revenue that you currently have come from? You know how to find clients clearly.
Right.
How did you find that? Well, we just went out and hustled. We just went out and found them. I'm like, so already. And they think every advisor I talk to whose growth has slowed down, and they say, oh, we need to find more clients. We can't, our growth has slowed down. When I really do the analysis, they're just full. They filled up. They didn't hire an associate 3 years ago. They don't know how to hire a lead advisor. They're sitting here like, oh God, I have to hire people. I'm like, well, what do you think professional services businesses do?
Yeah.
You hire people. That is how you grow, because your people are your product. And if you don't have enough product, you can't sell it.
Yeah.
Right. If you sold bread and you were out of bread, you wouldn't be like, I need to find more clients. You're like, no, I need to make more bread.
Right.
You make bread, people are going to show up and buy it. My neighbor started selling bread out of his garage.
Huh.
There's people constantly walking up to their garage to buy bread. It's amazing. I'm on a little cul-de-sac in the mountains. Like, there's nobody here. I don't know where all the people come from who buy all this bread, but the bread's delicious. And now I just get to walk next door and buy bread, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But like, they just made it and then posted in the local group, hey guys, if anyone wants bread, there's some here. And of course, everyone shows up to buy the bread. It's easy.
I mean, I think a lot of advisors are just really bored. Like, I've said this before, but like, everybody's just being so entertained with Netflix and Amazon Prime and social media and, junk food constantly and fast food. And we have so much wealth and so much choice. People are just really, really bored. And I think if you've got 3 million in revenue, like, go book a cabin in the woods for a week and sit down and be like, what do I want to do with my life? What am I doing with my life? And then pick a goal that gets your heart beating a little bit faster and go after it. Just for the pure heck of it, for the fun of it.
Yeah. For most of these advisors, when they ask me that question and I, look at them like they're crazy, we do point out one difference. To get that 3 million of revenue, you were hungry, and now you're rich.
Yeah.
And it's harder to motivate yourself when you're rich,
right?
Because what do you need? And that hierarchy of needs have shifted. And so when I talk about bringing in young advisors or newer advisors, not always young, because I think career changers are in their 50s are great to have as your new advisors. When you get these new advisors, what you're doing is you're bringing someone hungry into your house. And just like when I have guests, if I just ate lunch and someone showed up and is like, oh God, I'm starving, I'm going to make some food, right? Yeah. Because I'm not making food because I'm hungry. I'm not in survival, right? I'm making food because they're hungry, because I'm in empathy. And I've noticed that these founders who get really rich and fat and happy, right? And then they don't sell anymore because they're like, because it's uncomfortable, even if you're good at it. Right. You still have to put yourself out there and risk rejection, and rejection sucks. I don't care who you are. Then they start looking at these people that they've hired and now adopted, and it's like you get a puppy and the puppy's hungry, so you feed the puppy.
Yeah.
And so you get all these advisors that are suddenly like, oh God, I need to progress in my career. I gotta, do whatever. And like, okay, I guess I gotta go sell to fill these people up. And so if we can shift them into empathy mindset as opposed to survival mindset, suddenly they become amazing salespeople again, and they start hustling.
Yeah. When people reach their goals, they get depressed. I mean, I think when Olympians win gold medals, they get depressed afterward. When people sell companies for millions of dollars, they get depressed afterward. The chase is almost more important than reaching the goal. And
Yeah.
I think honestly, if you do set a big, hairy, audacious goal, set a backup goal. Meaning, like, if you want to save $1 million, say, okay, after I save $1 million, then I'm going to spend next year working on my health, and I'm gonna, or just pick a goal so that you immediately know what you're gonna focus on once you hit the first goal. And kind of always have this like laddered approach to goals, because I think some people are so focused on one thing. Like, I think that's why retirement planning is such a bad offer, because it's like, let's spend our entire life working towards this freedom, and then they get the freedom, and it's like, well, now my whole life's gone, but now I have freedom. I'm like, this is just your whole life's just been stolen from you. Maybe you should go back and live it differently.
That's really good. That whole idea of retirement planning services being a bad offer is going to make a lot of people mad.
Good. Let's
because it is. I 100% agree. We don't do retirement anymore. That's not a thing. Right. You just stop working and you stop earning. That's really good. There's a lot of studies about entrepreneurs who make a lot of money, and frequently, and it's the same thing with sports stars, anyone else. They intentionally sabotage themselves, so they lose all their money, so they have to go back and do the thing that they really liked, which is build a new business so they get money again.
Yeah.
And they know they'll never be able to do it if they have money.
Yeah.
Now, this isn't conscious, obviously, right? They're not thinking this, because losing all your money sucks, even if you internally want it. But it seems to happen all the time, right?
Have you heard Matthew McConaughey talk about this?
No, but if you can do the impression, then I definitely want to hear it.
I don't think I can do the impression. Anyway, so like he was doing a bunch of rom-com movies, making a ton of money, but he didn't want to do any more rom-com movies. So he's like, I want to do dramas. So he just told his agent, I'm not doing rom-coms anymore. So the offers kept coming, and he's like, no, I'm not doing them. So then an offer came in that was $12 million, and he said, I'm not doing rom-coms. And then the offer came in at $14 million, and he was like, no, let me look at that again. He tells it really well, but he still said no. And then he started getting the dramas that he wanted, the Lincoln Lawyer and the Interstellar, and I don't know, the other movies that are super famous now. And he talks a lot in his books about, he's been very financially successful many times, but he gets bored. And so like he goes to a remote tribe in Africa and like fights with a tribal dude and like gets bloodied and knocked out. It's just interesting.
It's interesting. That's an entertaining story.
When there's humans that have reached the peak. I love the quote, Jim Carrey, I think, I wish everyone could get rich and famous. They'd realize it's not the answer.
Yeah, that's good. What's funny is, from all the advisors I talk to, especially the newer ones, and especially in like kind of like the XYPN community, I would say especially, but I think it's true for most. They didn't start this business because they wanted to start a business. They didn't start this business because they had a goal for this business. They started this business because their boss pissed them off. That's most of them, right? Over 50% for sure. And so there's an extent to which they've met their goal on the first day of their business starting.
Yeah.
And they met their second goal, like they finished their goal when they're making as much money as they were making before they switched over to start their business.
Yeah.
And at that point, they just kind of go, now what am I supposed to do? And then they start study groups and they go to conferences so that they can learn what they're supposed to do. But they're not actually thinking about it from this place of like, well, what do I want from this? I ask every one of my clients at the very beginning, first question, sometimes at the prospect stage and sometimes on their first meeting, what's your end game? Who will own your shares when you don't own them?
Right.
And they're like, well, I don't have any plans. I'm like, it doesn't matter what your plans are. You're not immortal. You're not going to own your shares forever. So what's that going to happen? I have asked so many advisors that question. And I literally have never had one who said, okay, let me tell you my 3-part plan for what I'm going to do at the end of this. Right. Yeah. I have also talked to a lot of fintech people, anyone in the tech space, anyone who started a business that isn't financial advice, right? Like anyone outside of professional services. You ask them that question and you ask the person in Silicon Valley, like, okay, well, in year 1, we get our series A and B rounds. And so I'll dilute. And then in year 3, we're aiming to get bought by Google for this amount. They know exactly down to the penny what their plan is.
Right.
Now, they probably won't execute that plan, right? Sure. It probably won't happen the way they want it to, but they know what they want. They know what their end game is. They know if they want to get acquired. They know if they're going to go IPO. They know what that is. They have a trajectory.
Right.
And I've never met an advisory firm that hasn't done the work to develop it after launching, that has a trajectory, that isn't, well, we just keep growing, right? Isn't that what we're supposed to do? There's so much supposed to in this space that I find very frustrating.
No, you got to ask why. Why are you growing? Bob Veras and I have talked about this, and he's like, there's a massive talent shortage because nobody's training their successors. I mean, nobody's buying puppies and feeding them.
Right? Yeah. Puppies are cute, everyone. Your best experience in your
buy
whole
some puppies.
Every advisor I know, the instant that they bring someone on into their organization who they like and want to mentor,
right,
their mental health increases significantly.
Yeah.
Right? They have fun again.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is great. I'm hanging out with this person all the time. They're so eager to learn. Now, that can also be a disaster if they get the wrong person. But if you get the right one, it's some of the most rewarding work you can ever do. It's way better than working with clients.
Yeah.
Right? Because your clients are always like, it's still their money. But these people, you're helping build a career and become wealthy. And that's fun.
So for anybody that's listening that doesn't have a goal, I have an idea for you. Launch a one-to-many productized financial planning offering. See like how many people possible you can serve with some sort of one-to-many financial planning offering.
Oh, you're putting people down the hard road. I see.
You're going to have to build an audience. You're going to have to know how to sell something. You're going to have to know how to build an offer. But like, so I'm actually I've been writing, or I started writing this. I haven't published it yet, but it's called the $2 million CFP plan, or I don't know, advisor's plan. So the first $1 million is find 100 households, or find 100 clients willing to pay you $10,000. That's your first $1 million. That's your high ticket sale thing. So figure out what's something you can do for them worth $10,000. Find 100 people, sell them your offer, and then flip it. Now find 10,000 people willing to pay you $100 a year, and that's impact. So make a bunch of money with working with 100 households, and then flip the script and focus on impact. That's kind of my 2-step awesome plan.
I like it. That is fantastic. So I'm going to tell you what my 3 end games are for these people. Yeah. And you tell me what you think about each of them. I have 3, and I call them the easy way, the lucrative way, and the really, 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 really hard way.
Okay.
Those are the 3. There's other ends, but these are the 3 that I've seen most often. The first one, the easy way, is where you're building to be acquired, right? Where you pick the firm, you're like, oh, I want to join Brighton Jones, right? And so you call Brighton Jones and you say, hey, what's your tech stack? What's your service model? What's your pricing? What are your core values? And then you just copy and paste into your own firm. Okay. You just develop yourself as a branch office of that firm that doesn't own you yet. And when you've grown to the point that you start to slow down, you start feeling you're getting full. And that might be before you hire your first person, might be before you hire your first advisor, might be before you hire your second advisor, right? You're like, oh, it's generally best to do it right before you're going to hire someone, because that's a good transition point.
Sure.
And then as soon as you're ready, you call them up and say, hey, I look exactly like you. I want you to buy me. And they're of course going to go, okay, like, why wouldn't we? Right. And then you join up. Easy, right? You can get your firm to probably 4 to 8 million, even if you want to do that. Bigger than that gets a little complicated. And you always want to be probably like, try and execute that at when you're a quarter of their size, right? Okay. That's probably the right. I mean, you can do it whenever, but that's probably the the easiest one, because you're small enough that it'll be an easy acquisition, but you're big enough that it's interesting. And you become a meaningful partner as opposed to owning 1% or whatever. Not that that's bad. It's fine to own 1% of a big firm. That's great. I would love to own 1% of all the big firms out there. In fact, all the big firms out there, if you want to just send over 1%, I'm happy to take it. And so that's the easy way, right? And it's easy because you have a roadmap built in, right? You don't have to think about any decisions.
Yeah.
The lucrative way is hard charge your growth to about 4 million of revenue. Maybe $1 million, maybe 2, 4, wherever. But 4 is probably, I think, the sweet spot if you can get to 4 million of revenue as the end game. So it's going to take you however many years to get there, a decade or 2 probably, unless you're really fast, in which case you get there faster. Let's say anywhere from 7 to 15 years. You get to 4 million, and then you intentionally stop growing, convert from a growth firm to a static state, no growth firm that you only accept clients when a client leaves. Most of your staff you're going to have turnover at some point, right? Yeah. So all the ambitious people are going to get out, right? You're going to keep 1 or 2 of your ambitious people who are going to kind of make owners, so that they stick around. So they're your senior advisors, but you only need so many, right? And you only need to replace them when they leave. And then you have this constant rotating cast of associate advisors and other people where you kind of train all your competitors, which is fine, because then you can also have people to refer to when they leave, because you're going to have a lot of people who are like, I want to be your client. And you're like, sorry. And then you refer to someone else, and then everyone loves you, because obviously, and then you can just get your margins to probably 50% or even 60%. I've seen, and just milk cash flow. Your enterprise value is really low. The best case scenario actually to end that, when you want to be done, is just let one of your people run it, and pay them way over market for doing it, and just keep clipping your dividend checks forever. Right? You don't ever need to sell it. Eventually your firm is going to decline, right? Clients will start leaving because you're not there. Service is never going to be perfect. Other people are going to compete against you, and you kind of slowly drop over time, let your firm kind of wither out, and then you can always sell it for parts later. Right? That's the lucrative way. You'll make more cash that way along the way than any other way.
Okay.
Of course, the really, really, really hard way then is to create a multi-generational firm with an internal transition.
Yeah.
Which I've seen succeed for a while. I've seen succeed and get to really, really a lot of success. You look at companies like Plan Corp and Savant, which in Brighton Jones, where you have these multi-generational firms, and Aspiriant obviously being probably the biggest success story of that. That don't do really any M&A. They're just kind of hanging. They're people they trained are buying out the founders. Maybe they take institutional investors to take out a founder if they got too big. But for the most part, their goal is to say, we want employee control, employee ownership, and we want the internal people buying out the founders over time.
Yeah.
And that's the really, really hard one. And in today's market, that's even harder just because valuations are so high.
Yeah.
It used to be you take a 20-25% discount on that if you sold it internally. And right now it's like 50 or 60% discount on that if you sell internally, just because of what private equity is willing to pay.
So
what do you think about all those?
And you coach advisors toward each one. I'm guessing there are certain questions or traits or just personal goals that advisors have that maybe you would point them towards one or the other.
Yeah, I mean, I use that as the conversation starting point for them to start thinking about, okay, who is going to own my shares? And I give them those options. Almost everyone within 2 minutes goes, yeah, I like that first one, or I like that third one, or that second one sounds cool. I've never actually had anyone take me up on the second one. I know lots of firms that do that, but the people who call me aren't usually the people who want to get to a stable state, no growth.
Sure.
Right. So I think it's just a mismatch. But I know lots of firms that do it, and they're just rolling in dough. And those are all the firms that you're like, you meet an advisor and they're like, oh, I'm with this firm. You're like, oh, weird. I've never heard of you. You're like, yeah, no, that's how we like it. It's fine.
Yeah.
they're not growing. So they just play golf all day and don't market.
Yeah. To be honest, they just all kind of remind me how flat money is if money is your goal. I mean, money is a super boring goal.
Well, it is, but none of this is about figuring out your goal. It's about figuring out your trajectory.
Sure.
So the way I look at it, and the analogy I use, is going on vacation.
Okay.
Right. Going on vacation is super fun, and being flexible on your vacation is really fun. And most people want their firms to be flexible so that they can kind of do whatever they want to do at any given moment.
Right.
And I say, that's great. You want to have a really flexible vacation where you can do whatever. Great. But if let's say 4 of you get together and say, we want to go on vacation, and that's all anyone says is, let's go somewhere cool, and that's all anyone is bringing to the table, you're not going to go anywhere. You have no end in mind. But if you said, okay, we want to go on vacation, well, let's do a Europe tour. Okay, well, where are we going to start? Well, we're going to start in Paris because that's an easy flight. Okay, where do we want to fly back from? Well, let's fly back from London because we all agree we want to go to both those places.
Okay.
And we're going to be there for 3 weeks. So we're going to go to a bunch of different places. Okay, well, now we can get there and now we can get home. So at least we know we have structure.
Yeah.
Right? We know the beginning and we know the end. In between there, we have some flexibility. Now, you might say, okay, well, let's go from Paris to Amsterdam, and then maybe we'll go up to Copenhagen before we go then over to Edinburgh, and then back down to London. That sounds like a cool trip. And you go there and you go to Paris and it's super cool, and you take the train over to Amsterdam or the bus or whatever, and you get to Amsterdam and you're like, whoa, that place we booked is actually right in the middle of the red light district, and it's in the middle of this giant festival, and there's so many people here, we want to die. Let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Okay, let's cancel Edinburgh. Let's go to Bristol and do a May Day celebration at the cool Glastonbury, stone thing. That'll be fun. We'll do that instead. We'll just skip that other part and we'll do this instead.
Yeah.
Right. Now, you've totally had lots of flexibility, but you never would have had that trip if you didn't have the goal in mind.
Right.
Not the goal, even the trajectory in mind, the directionality. Because actually, I think goals are bullshit, right? Like, that's just blah, right? I think about values,
the pursuit.
I think about
the pursuit
movement.
That's fun. Yeah. Are you familiar with Jeff Soha? He's got Soha Capital. It's
no, I don't think we've met.
He's got a couple really good quotes. In the absence of the clarity of what you want, you will lack the motivation and discipline to do what it takes to get there. You've got to have clarity. And even myself, over the past couple of months, like there are times when I was like just not entirely sure what I was focused on. I had a lot of ideas, but 4 competing ideas means you do none of them well. So I think it's been obvious to people, like you've got to have one really clear idea of where you're trying to get to, and then realize that the destination is not the point. The destination is simply an arrow, like go this way. That's all it is. And
that's all it is. And that moves you forward.
As soon as you get there, make sure you pick a new direction.
Yep. Yeah. And that's what I tell the clients. Once you're moving forward and you're going toward that end game, and let's say you're building it to be a multi-generational firm, which happens a lot. They build it to be a multi-generational firm. They get to the point where they're going to then execute on that, and they go, oh, wow, yeah, we did it wrong. We're going to sell.
Yeah.
And they have a great transaction and it works really great.
Yeah.
That's fine. There's no problem if you don't reach the end game that you thought you would. Right? A little bit like playing chess. You have your opener, right? And then you're going to play a bunch and you probably have an end game in mind. You're like, oh, I'm going to aim toward this. And then stuff happens and you're like, that's not going to work. How about this end game instead? Right. And then you shift gears. You're like, let's go this way. And then you walk that way for a little while, like, that's not the right way. Let's go this way. And then you just change directions. And now you're still going toward an end game.
Right.
And as long as you have something in mind always that you can plan for and plan toward, that's my goal for my clients.
Yeah. I like that fisherman story. Like this rich man comes across this fisherman, and he's like working on his boat and he's catching fish and he's hanging out most of the day. And the businessman is like, why don't you go buy a bigger boat and then you can catch more fish and then you can get more money and then you can, and in the end, the fisherman's like, what, to get exactly what I'm doing right now, which is I fish a couple hours a day and I hang out on the beach the rest of the day. Like,
right. Yeah, it sounds brilliant. I want to do that.
Why do all this work to get exactly to where I am already?
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of like, I have this weird dichotomy in my advice. I'm saying, hey, don't have any goals. Don't worry about it. Right? Because goals are something you can achieve or not achieve.
Right.
Right? Have a direction and live by your values. And when someone says, well, but goals are so motivating. I'm like, goals are just values you want to live more of. So don't think about, oh, I want to have this much money, or I want to help this many people, or I want to have a metric. Say you like helping people, right?
Yeah.
Helping people is one of your core values. So every day, just help more people.
Yeah.
With the end in mind that you're creating this organization that also helps people.
Yeah.
And that at the end of that organization, you have a way to monetize it. Because if you just want to help people, go out and do that. If you want to help people through business, once you add business into it, there is a financial piece, right? That you're building this as a for-profit business because money wants to flow through it. If you just want to help people, well, go Johnny Appleseed style in one of the countryside and see who needs help, right?
Yeah.
It can be like Kung Fu, and just every time you're in a new town, or the Lone Ranger, or Mary Poppins, right?
Yeah.
You just show up, help people, and leave. They don't have to pay you. They don't even have to know you. It doesn't matter at that point, right? Just help people. That's fine, right?
Yeah.
That's great. And why build a business around that? If you already have enough money, stop making money.
Yeah.
That's the other thing I tell these advisors. They're
stop
like,
making money.
I have enough money. So what should I do now? I'm like, stop working. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, then I'll get bored. I'm like, then just go out and do it all for free. And then you don't need this giant infrastructure behind you. You can go help all the people you wanted to help along the way who couldn't afford you. Yeah. Why aren't you doing that? Why are you charging people if you have enough money?
Right.
No one's answered that question to my satisfaction yet.
I love the book The Go Giver by Bob Burg and John David Mann. Have you read that book?
No, because it doesn't have vampires in it, remember?
Oh,
right. Gotta have vampires or something, right?
Yeah.
I learn more from fiction than I do from nonfiction. Right?
Oh, is that I saw this. Do you have a Braveheart sword behind you? Is that a Braveheart sword?
That the big sword?
Yeah.
That is a claymore.
Okay.
You want to a lot of people have heard this story, but do you know where it came from? Have you heard this story before?
I don't know that I have.
Okay. You want to give it a guess where I got that sword? You'll never guess, but it's hilarious.
Ireland? Scotland?
No, the Schwab Impact Conference.
Really?
You know, back in the day, and now you fill it out on their iPad, but back in the day, you put your business card in the bowl.
Yeah.
Right? Now, everyone younger than 40 is like, what? Yeah, they had little fish bowls. You put your business card in. And it was for a company called Claymore Funds.
Okay.
And months later, I'd completely forgotten about this, even that I was at the conference. It was like 2009.
Yeah.
I was at this club conference. And this giant box shows up in my office. And we were probably like 10 people in that office at the time. And someone comes back, like, JD, you got a big box. You're shipping your stuff to the office? I'm like, no, I'm a grown-up. I ship stuff to my house. I don't know what that is. And they're like, well, open it. Well, you got to see what it is now, because my staff was very nosy.
Sure.
And so I come out to the lobby, and this box is, you can see the size of it, right? This big old thin box. And and I open it up and I look in, and I kind of, kept a straight face, but I reach in and I pull the sword out like King Arthur and hold it up like I'm, like I just won the tournament, and everyone lost their minds. Right. But there you go. That's my Schwab Impact sword.
That's hilarious. Do they still give out swords at conferences? I'm guessing not.
I don't even know if Claymore Fund still exists. I never used them, right? It was just one of the random investors. Like back in those days in 2009, I had little kids. So when I went to conferences, I put my business card in every single thing I could and collected everyone's swag, because I'd bring it home. And then, of course, I'm the superhero dad because my kids have all this, free junk.
Yeah.
And so, I got all sorts of weird stuff. I got iPads. I got all those little conferences. You can make bank.
Yeah.
You just go in there and give everyone your info, make fake business cards with a one-time, email address so you don't get spammed.
Yeah.
But, I didn't even care about spam. It's my work email. Who cares? Here you go.
I had a question because I just started working with a venture capital firm as a scout. And so have you done much work in that kind of space, venture capital, private equity?
In private equity, a little more. Like, we've created social private equity funds back at my old firm. And then I'm doing a lot of work now, obviously, with private equity, because I get involved in helping firms with M&A.
Okay.
But I haven't gone as early stage as venture.
Okay. So I work with a lot of advisor tech companies, and most of them are SaaS based, but some of them are AUM based. And so I'm very fascinated by an AUM based software can make a lot more money than a SaaS-based software. So I'm trying to figure out, is there a way for like a CRM platform to be basis points pricing versus being a per user per month pricing?
You can, but I think it's silly. And I think it's silly, especially because of all the firms that have that charge retainers.
Okay.
So like that works really great for a traditional firm that bases all pricing on AUM.
Sure.
But I'll say the same thing about that I say to advisors when they're talking about pricing. Clients pay you in dollars at the end of the day, right? Yeah. It's not totally true, but it's funny. And so I tell them that the only person who cares about how they calculate the fees that the clients pays are their math teacher, right? Who want them to show their work.
Sure.
The clients should, and you should communicate with your clients in terms of dollars. That if you want to be an honest advisor, you don't tell people that you're charging them 1%.
Yeah.
You tell them that that's the calculation. Hey, I charge you based on 1% of your assets, and that means you're going to pay me $12,000 a year.
Yeah.
If you aren't saying that last piece, if you're not doing the math for them, you do the math for them in every other aspect of your life. You must do that translation, or I don't think you're acting ethically, right? It's just what it is. I used to put cumulative fees paid to date forever, as long as you've been a client, on every quarterly statement.
Yeah.
And some of those fees for those clients who've been with us for 20 years, there's some that are really, really big numbers.
Sure.
And I pointed out to them, hey, I looked at your most recent, you've paid us like $500,000 in fees since you started with us.
Yeah.
And when I say that, they're like, hell yeah. And it was worth every penny. And if your clients aren't saying that, if you're not having that conversation, then you should. And your relationship with your clients will go up, because there's no one more honest than someone who tells you what you're paying and explains it to you in a way that you can understand.
Yeah. I like that. Do you think
sneaky otherwise psychologically?
Do you think AUM will be around for a long time, or do you think AUM is going to get eroded by subscriptions and retainers?
I mean, I think AUM pricing is really, really good, actually, because variable pricing, everyone should be doing variable pricing. Some people should be paying more than others, right? Because everyone has different complexity, right?
Yeah.
There is a strong correlation between more investable assets and more complication.
Okay.
And so it does become a very, very good variable pricing mechanism to fairly charge people at different levels. However, there's a lot of outliers to that. So if you look at that, if you're doing a scatter plot of people who fit into AUM pricing, there's a lot of really tightness right along the line, and then a lot of outliers away from the line. And so adding a retainer pricing, lowering your AUM pricing, but adding then in a flat payment in addition to it, and that combination. And I know a lot of advisors make that static. They're like, oh, we charge $6,000 for a financial plan plus 0.5% of AUM. Right. I think that's the wrong approach. I think you should charge 0.5% of AUM for whatever assets you are managing, and then custom craft each retainer for every client.
Okay.
Right. Cool. If you need to figure out like some spreadsheet, which I've done, like, create a complicated pricing model to figure out what that number should be, that's fine. If you just want to wing it and pull it out of the air, especially as a solo, it's much easier. Then great, do that. If you want to put in pricing committees and all sorts of rules and stuff, that's fine. But from a client's perspective, you walk up to them and say, it's going to be 0.5% of the assets I manage for you, because there's a cost to managing those investments. And I'm going to charge you $5,000 a year, $10,000 a year, $30,000 a year, $100,000 a year, because of these complications, because of your outside assets, because you have 5 real estate properties, because you have these kind of stock options, because you have these businesses, whatever the complication is. And it's not a menu. I don't like menu pricing. I don't like giving clients a choice ever, right? Because then you're just putting it on them to figure out what's right for them, and they don't know. If they knew, they wouldn't be coming to you in the first place. So my pricing is customized retainers, matching the planning work, plus starting at 0.5% of AUM. Now, if you do that, everyone will think you're cheap. No matter what you're charging in total, they'll think you're cheaper. Not everyone, but a lot.
Because the 0.5% versus the 1%.
Exactly. Actually, I had a client. She came to me. She had $9 million. She had 3 different advisors. And so I did the math. I said, this is what you're going to be paying with us. This is the expense ratios on the mutual funds. Here's what you pay us. Here's what you pay this. Here's your total cost of investment. Here, under what we're proposing, here's what you're paying everyone else. We were a little bit cheaper overall because our investments were cheaper, but actually our fees were actually more expensive than she was currently paying. I explained this all to her and she said, oh, wow, you're really cheap. And I said, well, why do you say that? Right? Because I like to ask those questions. Yeah. And she said, because you're charging 0.5% and my current advisor at Schwab is charging 1%.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. And so I start arguing with the client about how we're not cheap because I'm an idiot. And so I said, well, actually, if you add in the planning fee that we charge and the asset fee that we charge together, then we're approximately the same fee as your Schwab advisor.
Nice. Okay.
And she said, well, no, because he doesn't really do this planning stuff.
Yeah.
He says he's doing it, but he's not really doing it.
Right.
Now, luckily, I was able to stop myself from saying, well, you haven't seen what I'm going to do for you yet.
I don't do it either, by the way.
And then I'm just like, because I'm an idiot and I'll just say the stupidest things ever. And I said, okay, fine. We can be cheaper. But overall, it's the same cost to you for full disclosure. She's like, oh, okay, but I think you're cheap. And I'm like, cool, that's fine. We can just do that as long as you know what I said, right. So that you can't complain later. And she was a great client and it worked really well. But what you're doing is you're applying your fees to the value as opposed to differentiating them, right? Or over allocating all of your value to the investments when the planning is what's valuable, but you don't charge for the planning. And so people don't think it's valuable because you didn't charge for it. You threw it in for free. So it clearly has no value.
Exactly. Yeah. I love that thinking.
Right. And so that's my preference. So everyone out there, variable, have a minimum fee for planning if you need one, or not if you don't. It can go infinitely high. And that adds on to your AUM fee for whatever they happen to manage for you.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best pricing model. Period.
That's a good idea. It's a really good idea. Yeah.
And then you can add on other stuff. So if you're preparing taxes, which I love for firms to prepare taxes, charge separately for that. Right. Replacing insurance, charge separately for that. Flat fee if you can. Just based on the world, that's hard. Anything you're doing, just have that be an add-on fee. Have people pay for everything they use from you. And that's better. That said, in my consulting practice, I operate on a pay what you want basis. And I just tell people, I'm going to do a bunch of stuff for you and pay me whatever you think it's worth. So like there are other ways if you're crazy. Like
you should charge 0.5% of their AUM.
That is what when I first started my consulting, I did exactly that. I charged them, not their AUM, because I get for those reasons.
The revenue, sure.
I charged them 0.5% of their revenue plus a flat fee.
Nice. Did that work?
Right. Here's why it didn't work and why I stopped doing it, because it put more work on the client.
Okay. They had to
what I
figure
thought
that
is
out.
What that meant is every quarter they'd have to send me what their quarterly revenue was, and it would increase communication.
Right.
But in practice, it was just kind of a pain in their ass. And so I just changed it because I'm like, my job isn't to make my clients do more work. Conceptually, I thought it was really cool. And I think someday it might be cool, but I would have to I need to put in a system that collects all of their financials every quarter so that I get the information first and then I send them the invoice so that I do the work. But doing that is way harder than just charging them a flat fee.
I remember one of the earliest times we communicated on LinkedIn. It had something to do about predicting the future, and I think you said that the RIA of the future is going to be like more family office-y, meaning they're gonna do a whole bunch of things on behalf of their clients.
Because this lack of one-stop shop sucks. Yeah, I firmly believe that. It's going to start with tax. I'm already seeing it in tax. Every advisory firm I talk to is like, okay, let's talk about, should we be doing tax? Right? Not all of them want to right now.
Right.
But in 20 years, everyone will. If we can get past insurance regulations, the same thing will happen with insurance. But there's a lot of regulatory issues with that just because insurance companies suck. It's starting to shift a little. But also the definition of fee only makes it difficult because there are a lot of firms who want to be fee only. And fee only should include people who refund commissions back to their clients.
Okay.
Right. It should, in my mind. If I place insurance for you and I get a commission and I give that commission back to you, then that should be fee only. Right. Why not? It's actually way better, because then that's way better for clients than just outsourcing your commission to some insurance broker where they get the money instead of you. Why is that better for clients? It just isn't, right? There's no argument that is better for clients to have a third party get a commission instead of the advisor getting paid a flat fee. That's just silly. Right. The fact that insurance companies haven't launched no commission insurance products at every level is insane. I mean, I know why, right? From a business management standpoint, from the insurance companies, right? They have this whole embedded sales team. It'd be politically hard, all the reasons, but it's crazy, right? One of them is going to do it, and then all of them are going to do it, and we're just waiting. So that's going to be in there. Estate might be a little more complicated because, again, the legal regulations. But over time, like, this is already happening at the really big firms. Creative planning has everything, right? And in fact, creative planning, if you go to them and if you're a client of creative planning and you say, hey, let's talk about my situation, and you mention casually one sentence. If you say, oh yeah, it's funny because we were, in the middle of thinking about implementing a 401k plan in my business, but we haven't gotten there yet. And then move on and say nothing else. Within an hour of getting off that phone, one of their 401k people will send you an email. Guaranteed within 60 minutes.
Yeah. It's like Alexa, just always listening. You'll get served up ads about 401ks.
100%. And they're really, really, really good at that speed of response. Creative planning is probably the best in the world at this in financial advice.
That's cool.
They are exceptional at speed. And it's the single best thing you can do for client service, right? Speed is the number one thing. Response rate, you respond within an hour, within a minute, immediately, all that, way better.
I wrote about that on LinkedIn recently. I was like, if you want more client referrals, respond faster.
Totally. That's it. Because everyone loves it when people respond faster, especially in our industry. It is true universally, right? But especially in our industry, if someone has a question about their money, they are feeling anxiety in that moment. I don't care who you are. If a question comes up in your mind about your money, until that question is answered, your level of anxiety, maybe a little bit, maybe a lot, goes up.
Yeah.
And that stays until you hear the answer. And it reduces as soon as you know when you're going to get the answer. And so you can reduce their anxiety immediately by saying, I'll get you an answer by Tuesday. And then it'll stay there a little bit, but it'll just bubble, right? Sure. And then on Tuesday, you answer the question and it disappears. And so making our clients feel anxiety is not the best way to do client service. Like, it just isn't. And if you can fix that, you will be the favorite of everyone.
Yeah. Right? No, one of our clients wrote to us on a Saturday morning, and we never typically respond on the weekend, but he asked when he was going to receive some money he'd requested. And I just emailed him right from my phone, doing whatever I was doing on a Saturday. And he's like, wow, thank you so much.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really, really good. If everyone just does one thing, that's the thing. Oh, we had a question from the audience. It said, Vilas asked how many people said they had enough. How many advisors said that they had enough personally? Weirdly, like almost all of them. Right. And it's not the smaller ones who are still in growth mode, like really like but once they get anyone over $1 million in revenue, generally is like, yeah, I make enough money. And yet they still keep growing.
It's important to set that number. I mean, for me, it was like 10K a month. I was like, I'm shooting for 540K a month right now. That's my personal BHAG. But anything over 10, I'm turning back into my business.
And yeah, it's pretty amazing. So how many, like when you talk to advisors, how many of them do you think come from a place, not psychologically, but come from from a financial planning state of they have enough, they could meet their financial goals for their family?
I don't know if I hang around the wrong crowds, but the advisors I tend to talk to seem to be ones that are pretty desperate for clients.
But are they desperate for clients because they're poor? Or are they desperate for clients because they aren't keeping up with their study group?
I don't. For me, it seems to be they're actually poor. The people I also interact with a bunch of advisor tech companies. They always need more money.
Sure.
Service providers, consultants to the industry. It's actually surprising. A lot of the like speakers and thought leaders, and I don't think a lot of them are doing as well as we think they're doing. And that's kind of that's part of my goal, is to help a lot of these speakers, consultants, thought leaders, email newsletter writers, marketing companies. I want to help them all productize their businesses and scale them so that they have, recurring monthly revenue that they can count on. Because I think that's a real need in this industry. There's just a lot of people that aren't doing as well financially as they could be.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely meeting people who are at a later stage.
Okay.
Right? They tend to call me, and also maybe because I'm my guess is I'm much more expensive than you, kind of per hour of my time.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm at a later stage in my career, which is normal. So I'm talking to people who are deep in their boredom phase, or are getting close to the end of their journey phase.
Yeah.
Right. I'm talking to them in their late 50s or 60s, or I talk to someone in their 70s who's thinking about maybe having a succession plan, that's great. I one time bought a firm from a guy who was 78, and he said, yeah, my clients are telling me I need to think about retirement. So
that's called reverse retirement planning, where the clients are trying to retire the advisor.
Like, you need to, I don't need you to retire today, but like, do you have a plan? Like, because we're getting a little nervous.
Yeah.
You left it a little long.
I do need to drop in 5 minutes, but we can.
Okay, 5 minutes. All right, we'll cap it off at the end. There was something I was going to ask you. I don't remember. All right, any last? That's what it was. Of all the financial planners you talk to, what percentage do you think have a financial planner?
Oh, that's a good question. Not very high. I don't.
Very low.
Like 10%.
Yeah, that's my experience too. What are you doing?
No, they don't. If you don't eat your own cooking.
And it doesn't count if someone in your firm is your financial planner.
So it's an
pay.
Right. It's an abundance thing too, or if you're trying to get someone to pay you $10,000 for a service, but you never personally yourself have gone out and paid $10,000 for a service, you're going to have a very difficult time ever selling that, because you don't believe you don't believe in the value of a service. So
I do have lots of recommendations for advisors on who their advisor should be. So if you post in the comments that you want one of those referrals, I will send you a referral.
Sweet.
I have some good ones. All right, last 5 minutes, or last 4 minutes now. Any last things you want to say?
I think life planning is going to get big. I don't know if you've
agreed.
I don't know if you know Justin Castelli, but he's kind of gone all in on The Alchemist and Santiago, searching for his personal legend, and life planning and alignment. Getting to the point. Just any kind of I think your number one advisor tech is your brain. I think it's your number one investment on earth is your brain. Just basically take $100 bills and shove them in there as much as you can.
Yep, 100%. I love that.
That's what I would say. I would say pursue your dream, pursue your life journey that makes you really happy. And if you're bored,
actually, all of my referrals for financial planners for advisors are life planners. Because advisors don't need technical help.
Right.
You know how to invest your money. You don't need help with that, right? You don't need someone to manage your investment. You need someone to come in and help you figure out what your life should look like.
Yeah.
That's where I send people, is people who start with the questions of, what do you care about? Right? Yeah. What are your values? Those are the questions that I think advisors need to help with answering, because no one's ever asked them that question before.
You know how encouraging it is? Like, I'm a pretty young guy, and a lot of these thoughts I'm kind of having on my own as I look at other people. But like, all the experts in the industry that I'm talking to now, we agree on a lot of things. It's just really cool. It's cool to see there's so many thought leaders in this space that are all kind of moving in the same direction.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. I like that too. It's the we're taking over from the old guard, that's for sure.
There we go.
Of course, I'm kind of the old guard with hair this color, so
you got young ideas though. You got cool ideas.
An old man with young ideas. I like it. That's my goal, right? I just want to be the old wizard, with my staff and my stuff and my crystal balls, and I just make magic for everybody.
That's awesome.
It was lovely having you on and lovely meeting you. I look forward to if you ever want to come back on, you just let me know and let us know what you want to talk about, and you know how to find us. If anyone has any questions for Joe, as you know, you can follow his Substack and catch him on LinkedIn, or join his community on School. And I think your 2026 book, it's a revision, right, for 2026. Will be coming out in March. Yeah.
Yep.
So you can buy that from Amazon, I think, right? And you'll get an actual
not yet,
book.
but you will be able to. You can pre-order
now. Yeah, okay. Pre-order now and you get an actual physical book. Like these ones behind me that,
real book.
Those exist anymore. Ooh, you have one. All right.
Well, this is the last year's one, but yeah.
Oh, that's last year. Okay. So if you want all the new hotness, people say new hotness? I'm too old to know what people say.
I have not heard that, but
I thought that was an old one. Anyway, that's the new hotness. Is the 2026 version available in March. Thank you, Joe. You're amazing. It was a really great conversation. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, this was a blast. Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye, everyone.